They taught the world Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu is the only martial art that people ever experienced that did what was advertised. What was advertised was that a small, skillful person could beat a larger, stronger opponent who didn't know the techniques. Royce Gracie proved it in the UFC, and he changed martial arts forever. And that family's probably the most consequential, the most important, significant family in the history of martial arts. The Gracie family changed martial arts worldwide.
It's funny, man, there's so many people out here who are very successful. And they talk about, super money, great family, all that shit. They talk about that they're missing something. That there's something in their life that they're missing. And they talk to me about that shit. And I mentioned the Gracies. It seemed like they had this, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about nothing, man. They're like grassroots motherfucker. And that's what I always tell people that they're missing. Is that they're missing that desire. Like those guys had a passion and a fucking obsession. That's the word.
Yeah, obsession.
Obsession.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, man, those motherfuckers don't have those conversations. I feel like I'm missing something.
Right.
They're not missing shit, dude. No, they got it figured out, man.
Well, Hickson in particular, because Hickson was Royce's older brother, who was, everybody says, is the greatest of all time.
Really?
From that era. Yeah. He was. There was never been a time, other than today, there's a time right now with Gordon Ryan, which is very rare. It's very rare where someone comes along and everybody says, this is the baddest motherfucker alive, no ifs, ands, or questions about. And back then, when Hickson was in his prime,
right.
You ask any black belt anywhere in the world, they're like, Hickson's the man. Hickson is the man.
Damn.
And he was a yogi. He did all this crazy breath work that he would do. He figured out the physical as well as the mental, far beyond where everybody else was willing to travel. And there's a great documentary if people are interested in Hickson Gracie called Choke. Hickson's been on the podcast a couple of times. But there's a great documentary called Choke that followed him when he was in his prime in the 1990s competing in Japan. And one of the things he does in that documentary, he gets in a frozen glacial river and he just sits down and he's meditating in this river up to his neck with this fucking 30-degree water just washing over him. He's just
beyond talent, bro.
And he's like, thank you, my Lord. Thank you, my Lord. And he's just like, just taking it all in. It's beyond talent.
That's badass.
There's so much involved. There's talent, there's discipline, there's the mind, focus, and there's also the brilliance of his ability to interpret and understand technique.